Hello and welcome to Dubai. It's EventCamp Middle East 2012. It's actually the 8th of its kind that happen every 6 months or so around the world, and this one is here in Dubai. My name is Dave Crane. You can connect to me, by the way, with Turbocharge Your Brand TV, my engagement part of the industry for events. But there's a whole load of different things to check out throughout the entire broadcast. As you may have understood already, you can interact with any of the presenters and in fact with the entire system by using the hashtag on Twitter. The hashtag is hashtag, and that's ECME12. That's ECME12. That's EventCamp Middle East 12. Okay, so we have a number of presenters to go through this afternoon. There's lots of great material. I say this afternoon. In Dubai right now, it's 3:10. But if you look at the different parts of the world, Australia, New Zealand, and our team are joining us in Bahrain, and also we got guys joining us from the US. All the time scales and time zones are completely different, so I'll let you work out online exactly where everyone's going through. And you can see the bags under their eyes to illustrate whether they've got up in the middle of the night to make their particular presentation. This is all about event technology and the future of events and how to really engage your audience. And our next guest is one of the guys responsible for pioneering this whole technology and industry here in the Middle East, and also responsible for bringing this event to the Middle East as well, John Quinn. Now, I've known John for many, many years, and he's one of the few guys I can say that he's been involved in the event industry, but from the sharp end of bringing new ideas and new technology to people. In terms of engagement, in terms of creating game shows that will also be interactions that work with presentations at the same time. In fact, when you talk about presentations, he is very much seen as the expert in presentology. He's the guy who turns around and says, this is how you do it properly. And if you ever want to know how to do a PowerPoint the right way, you've got to talk to John as well. John joins us now from, of course, his business, which is Satelllite, and they're responsible for all kinds of communications. And John told me that he was going along to events and seeing people interact and just wondering they could do it so much better. They've got bad presentations on PowerPoint. They've got lousy gadgets for getting in contact and getting everyone to put their votes up and their interaction with the event. And he wanted to just show them how to do it properly. So now to share with us exactly how the event industry has evolved with technology and how it's going into the future, this is John Quinn.
Thank you very much, Dave. Well, hello world, how are you all doing out there? Wherever you may be, I won't say good morning, good afternoon, good evening, but I'm sure wherever you are, it's a pleasure to have you along, and I look forward to taking you through. Really, I'm going to join two words together today, presentation and technology, and we came up with the whole concept of what we call presentology. I am a presentologist, a self-imposed name. I've been in business for the past 10 years, working in this field within the Middle East region and indeed throughout Europe as well. Really, we've been, just to give you a few numbers so that you can focus on, really we rent out and we also create a lot of PowerPoint presentations. And in the world at the moment, there are about 350 PowerPoint presentations going on right at this second, if you believe it or not. So every second, 350 PowerPoint presentations being delivered somewhere in the world. So that's a lot of people who need help. Since 2001, we've created this number of PowerPoint slides, and here's a few numbers for you, which works out at a huge amount of bullet points and images. So we're trying to improve PowerPoint generally, and I'm going to touch a little bit on that as I look at the evolution, really, of presentations and of the event industry throughout the region. Since 2001, we've also been representing different types of keypad manufacturers to engage people with gadgets at live events. So we will be focusing and maybe have a look at some of those gadgets as we go through this afternoon. And we've rented out a huge amount of those to different clients over the region. The clients really reference are all the way from the blue chip right the way through to the different types. If you have a look at some of them here, there's everyone there that either local or international, different types of clients. So we have really, everyone needs this help. It's a common issue throughout the world. We say that poor presentation techniques are endemic, and we really need to try and improve it. So how do we improve it? Well, technically, PowerPoint is the solution, and it is the solution of the choice. There is obviously other choices such as Prezi, Keynote. There are many other products that are out there at the moment. But with a 350 million installed base of Microsoft throughout the world, really most people are delivering through PowerPoint. So how do we make PowerPoint better? How do we improve the look and the feel and when we stand up and communicate with people? Well, this is a famous quote, or a famous quote from one of our favorite customers. We really are focusing on how we make PowerPoint better. So I just wanted to maybe show you a few examples of that as we go through. We find that people don't spend any time working on their PowerPoint presentation. It's human nature to leave it to the last minute. It may have happened today, and in some of your own cases, you decided to change things at the last minute. They leave it right to the last minute. That's a human condition where we're actually allowing ourselves to get out of it by not having enough time to work on it. Good presentations are worked on. The best stuff we create is created over time. And generally, customers, we've seen, when we see bad presentations, we see this type of issue. So here's a picture I took at an event. I'm not sure if you can see what the challenge is here. I asked people, what is the problem? Why did I take this picture? This is the CEO Clubs of America in 2007 down at Jumeirah Beach Hotel in Dubai. And I focused on one particular person. Sure, some people may be not looking at each other, but if you specifically look towards the back of the room, you'll see why I took this picture. I took this picture mainly to talk to this lady at the back of the room who's knitting. And I went along to her and said, "Excuse me, are you this man's wife and you've come to this conference and you're not really attending the conference?" She said, "No, I'm a CEO of America and I've come to this meeting and I'm here to pick up information." And I said, "So you've paid to come along to a conference and you're knitting at it." I said, "How can you really focus? How can you really communicate? And why are you knitting?" And the upshot of what she said to me is that this is what she expects to see on the screen. And here's a couple of examples of the real reason why I got into this. I sat in so many conferences watching this type of content on screen. We call it death by PowerPoint. And we like to say there is life after death by PowerPoint. Ask yourself, what's wrong with this graph? What's wrong with these colors? What's wrong with the charts? And what's wrong with the fonts? Well, pretty much everything is wrong with it, in terms of communication. And this is a real slide from a real customer. We're asked to improve it. Now, this may be an extreme example, but have a look at something such as this. This is a common problem with the IT industry. All you IT guys out there, you will recognize this. This is what we call TMI, too much information. The client came to us and said, "What's wrong with this, Johnny? Well, how can we improve it?" And I said, "Look, you can improve it by deleting it. It just doesn't work. All the people are getting from this is Smarties and M&Ms. They're not getting any other means of communication. Fine for an internal-based presentation where you need to communicate in-depth data, but to take this outside and present to the market, it's just going to cause a huge problem." So we tend to get rid of this type of stuff and re-engineer it completely. And one of the main things that we're seeing is that we're seeing audiences on strike. One of the hardest presentations to deliver would be to an audience who don't care. And audiences are caring less. Audiences, what you used last year, audiences have seen already. How are you going to change? How are you going to engage people? How are you going to get people more involved? Well, we like to say that really that audiences, this is typical sort of comments that audiences are making. They want more interaction. They want to get rid of the bullet points. Ban the bullet is a common concept. They want people to stop reading the slides. Don't read what's on the screen, which is what I just did. So the idea is to not ever really refer to what's on your screen. But more important than that, the first presenter that was recorded to be tweeted off the stage was in 2010. Audiovisual people will tell you that we now have elaborate gizmos, traffic light systems, plasma screens in front of presenters to stop presenters overrunning their time, to stop presenters boring the audience. So how do we get the whole thing from being a monologue, which is traditionally how people are presenting, to being a dialogue? We want to dialogue with our clients. It's as simple as that. If we create a dialogue, we ask people to psychologically buy into what we're talking about. If we monologue to people, we allow people to switch off. So we're saying, don't turn off your phones, turn on your phones, communicate with us, pick up a gadget, get involved with us, because if we create that dialogue, we build a bridge and people get more engaged as we go along. So how do we do that? We do that in 3 simple ways. We simply improve people's presentation production. We also offer them interactive systems that allow them to link with their audience. And we also train them on how to use them and how to put the whole thing together. So let's have a look at a few moving beyond the bullet points. Here's a typical slide that we would be given by a client. It's the script of which they're going to talk about. It needs to go on the notes pages. Delete all of the text. It goes on the notes pages. It's what you're going to say. It should be on your notes pages. PowerPoint in 2013 will allow you and in PowerPoint 2010 to be able to see your slides, notes in front of you and something different on the output of the laptop. So people who learn about Presenter View, when we teach it to them, it's a revelation. They can read their script in front of them and have something different come out. This particular client, the job was to communicate that they had to get more people on seats, more people engaged at events, so let's use the seats. So the actual solution we came up with was a seated presentation that identified the 6 different areas or 7 different areas they were involved in, and this is actually an interactive slide, so people can actually go through this and ask questions. And this is something we're seeing more and more of. We're giving out keypads, and in some cases, event organizers are asking for conditional branching presentations, which means that the audience democratically decide what they want the presenter to talk about next. A very nice way to link with your audiences. We've seen the first of those coming up. So we'll ask the audience to vote. And we'll go through a few examples of the sort of thing we've done as we move along. Here's another example of a very nice slide. You there online are maybe not seeing some of the animations. This slide is very nicely animated, but you're seeing the flat. But note on this slide that we've got plain text information, but no bullet points. Still communicative, but not over the top. Moving on, maps. Everyone outside of the Middle East tends to think that Dubai is the capital of Saudi Arabia, so we have to show where we are in the world, and we've got a range of different maps, simple, straightforward facts. All of this stuff I'm showing you is basic PowerPoint presentation. You can edit, change, do whatever you need to do to it. It's not rocket science. So here we've got kind of a timeline showing and also a zoning showing where we are. So those are just a couple of examples of improving your presentation. If you improve the on-screen content, you get closer to a Steve Jobs type presentation, a presentation that actually communicates where you are the focus rather than the slides that you're reading off. In terms of audience interaction, here's a couple of critical numbers in terms of what we want to focus on. And believe me, I'm trying to focus on this today. 20 minutes is when you guys are going to start getting bored. Your brain is going to start switching off. You're going to start thinking, did I really order the dinner, or did I leave the food out for the dog? So it's a kind of an area where we try to aim at that 20 minutes to get your message across. If you can't get it across in 20 minutes, arguably you're not going to interact. It's too much information. Now we see a lot of presentations of 20 slides, and they're getting smaller and smaller. And initiatives such as Pecha, which is a limited number of slides, these are new concepts that are coming into corporates to try and minimize the communication. Standing up while you present, a meeting, instead of everybody sitting down. These types of things have been around. I can prove to you 20 minutes is through this chart, which is a study. It's quite an old study from the 70s. And this first chart shows really the typical learning over time. And we notice that after 40 minutes, people get more interested because they realize that they're going to shut up and stop talking, and they're able to go home. So 40 minutes tends to be where it's focused. When we involve engagement in any sort of format, we end up with a graph like this. You can see that the engagement never really drops. People are engaged the whole way through the presentation and the whole way through. And I'm going to show you a few examples of how to do that. We also notice that at events, people are not just at the event for a one-way piece of communication, or they're very much interested in networking. So how, at events, can we allow the audiences to network with each other? Because this number of people are there to network. And what sort of tools can we offer to people that will let them get connected with each other? How can I find out who else is there? Could I scan the area around me and find out who are the type of people that are here? When I sit down at the dinner table for a gala dinner, do I know everyone at the table before I actually sit down? Are these things possible? Because networking is a very important motivation for a lot of our clients. And we're forcing people to learn through interactivity. It's not possible for people to switch off and get on their BlackBerry and kind of do other things outside. If we're using their BlackBerry, we're engaging them. If they're using their iPhone, we're engaging them. We need to give them cross-dependent devices. The device does not need to be the important device. We have to assume that everyone out there does not have an iPhone. We have to get it across to the different generations and work through it. But more importantly, if we interact with people, we give people some form of learning as we move forward. So in training environments, quizzes, these are all ways to force some sort of learning. What audiences are saying, this is a typical sort of thing people are saying. They just had enough. I mean, they've switched off. we do notice a huge amount of people asleep at conferences. You wouldn't believe it when we're standing looking at people. Also, we see people intensely frustrated by that moment when you turn up at an event. I mean, initiatives such as Cvent, eTouches, they allow you to actually create the whole event and improve this experience. What I'm hoping for one day is a queueless type registration where I walk in, somebody knows me immediately, I get a badge, I don't have to queue up. This is a frustration point for a lot of our clients. And indeed, with the badges, just having a badge hanging around your neck, kind of branding you, can't we do that better? Can't we actually get it out there, and can't we improve how it is? We tend to find that one or two people in the audience are vocal, they're called the vocal minority, and they want to hold the whole conference. So how do we manage those people and stop them hijacking the conference? How do we control them? Well, we've got different gadgets that do that as well. So, and obviously, as I've mentioned before, getting rid of the bulleted list, getting rid of the boring on-screen content, linking it to something interesting, and getting people engaged and informed. So let's have a look at a few of the gadgets now. The first one I'd like to show you is a gadget called Pokin, all the way from Switzerland. Pokin, we've done quite a few events with it. I've got a couple of Pokins here. They look like little USB drives, and they can have data in them. They can have up to 2 gigabytes data on board. They're branded, but what's unique about them is that they're an NFC chip. And NFC did not turn up on the iPhone 5. I was waiting for it last week, and I really thought it was going to have NFC, but Passbook seems to be the way they're going to go in the short term. So we'll roll on and hope that it's going to appear in the iPhone 6, but we've got to wait for that. In the meantime, Pokin is your perfect type of solution for NFC, for near-field communication, allowing you to interact with each other. You go to an event and everybody gets one of these. When they get one, they can go around and collect people, places, and things, and it links you to the social network. You just simply, if you're going to network with people, you touch the 2 devices together and they glow green to indicate that you've networked with each other. So this is near-field communication working in its basic format, and this product is called Pokin, Poken.com. So please have a look at it, and we've done about 5 or 6 events with it. It's very well received. You can pick up speaker papers, you can collect different types of information on sponsors, you can even vote using tags and poking people. So that's one product that we've seen for networking. And then networking generally, at the other end of the scale, we have a different product, which is kind of at the far end. Again, a Swiss product. At the very far end of the scale is the SpotMe. Now, SpotMe's been around for quite a few years. This is the 4th iteration of it. It's probably the most advanced event gadget we've ever seen. That's a customized actual device itself. The product itself is wonderful. It works in a whole range of different ways, but it was kind of the forebearer of making digital events in people's hands. So people turned up an event, they get a Pokin, you get your picture taken, and you can scan and search who else is at the venue. So imagine an indoor GPS where you can see who else is at the venue. You can connect with people. You can get pushed alerts. You can see the agenda. You can pick up information. You can touch the devices together. So where is Pokin now? You guessed it. It's on an iPad. So tablets are generally taking over where these types of bespoke products are coming on board. And these products are fading into history, but they defined the uses. They defined what people will actually do with them, which is why it was such a good learning environment. So one of the challenges was always that if I was going to rent or supply these to people, how do I get them back? Well, when people are using their own device, you don't have that issue. You have a different type of problem. You have connectivity, or you have other issues. But with SpotMe, it was a wonderful product. Going back to the sort of very early history, here's an early keypad. You can see the kind of age of it in terms of where we came from. And here is right up to the minute, up to sort of the latest minute. The 10-button keypad, credit card size, very easy to use. A lot of people buying these and engaging their audiences. And here's a 5-button version, a very, very simple version. So these are all simple devices. What we are seeing is that a lot of people are using this type of device, and they want to give it out to people, but they also want to engage people with their phones. So we're seeing a lot of blended events going on at the moment where people are voting either on their phones, and if they don't have a phone or a smartphone or a device that's able to vote, which is through a simple URL, then we give them a keypad. So we're seeing these blended events, but the whole lot joins together in terms of one solution. So that's the kind of those are the kind of products that we've seen. At the other end of the scale, we've also seen products that really, kind of customized products for large congresses. This looks like a BlackBerry, but it isn't. It's a product, it's called the IML Communicator from IML, one of the world famous companies in terms of audience interaction. Believe it or not, it does 6 different things, and I'll skip through them quickly. It's a 1024x768 color screen. You can put the slides on there. It's a QWERTY keyboard where people can ask questions, moderated questions, and vote. You have a microphone so people can talk, and you don't have to hold it up very high. It works perfectly in front of you. It has a 10-watt speaker in it, so you don't need a PA anymore out there. It has a smart card reader, so you can identify yourself. And last but not least, it has a headphone jack, so you can listen to up to 36 channels of simultaneous translation. So one device doing maybe 7 or 8 different things. A wonderful product and very sort of engaging, works completely wirelessly. So these types of products are in the market and are around, and if you're interested at all, then please contact us and we can give you our best advice. It's gone from sort of showing you a list of products to finding out exactly what you want. And generally the first question is, what's the demographic of the audience and what's the objectives of it? Is it networking? Is it communication? Is it, what are the main, and the demographics are critical because demographic-wise we need to appreciate who's out there. If I ask my father to download an app, he has a challenge with it, really. My mother has an iTunes password, but if I ask him to connect to a URL, he can do it, no problem at all. So do we go native? Do we go web? There are different camps in terms of what, and again, I think it's really a case of finding out what the client needs are and how it goes forward. And then just a quick example of the sort of slides that we're able to create with customization. So we create a lot of these types of quizzes, and we often joke that there are too many millionaires in the Middle East, so this is a Who Wants to Be a Billionaire. This is a game show that people play at live events using keypads where people are voting and they're either winning a prize, but this is a kind of engagement. So it's a very nice way to get people working. And I mentioned that the apps are becoming ubiquitous. We've now got apps for all different types of voting. So you can download an app and install it just simply for voting to engage the audience. So you may have people that are not even at your venue who are voting. And actually, I promise you that if I present at next year's event, we will be doing this voting. We'll actually bring it to you, and you'll be able to try it live yourselves and give it a go. And we are able to combine all the different voting together from wherever you are in the world onto one slide. It was a little bit advanced for this event, but next time we'll surely be trying it. Just to give you a few examples, going back over the years, the sort of things we've been doing. This is Cisco in 2005, where they're playing Who Wants to Be a Millionaire and ask the audience using voting keypads. Quite simple and straightforward, but a great way of sort of engaging the audience and getting everyone involved. The EMOR AGM in 2006, where 3,000 people are voting for one question. Do you agree or disagree to the dividend? So again, a challenging technical solution for us, getting all those weighted votes from 3,000 people. In 2007, the DEPA Awards, an amazing event where basically everybody was a judge on the night. It was a live Oscars. You can imagine the atmosphere in the room at such an event. But it was certainly very engaging and a real case of how we got people involved. A lot of what we're doing are conferences and events where people are asking questions such as, what's the challenges with your industry? So there's quite a lot that goes on. 2008, we did an event, 2009, with OMD. OMD are one of the forerunners of events. They're one of the first people to introduce augmented reality into events. And if anybody hasn't played with augmented reality, go to zappar.com, zapper.com, or blipper.com, blippar.com. Please tweet me on ECME12 and I'll be able to give you all of these links. But the augmented reality for live events is amazing. You can turn any printed material into a video and it will really create a dramatic effect. And OMD are the sort of people who engage their audiences, and we're kind of one of the first people to use event apps and get people moving in the region back in 2009, which is a long time ago in terms of events. 2010, we were using texting where the audience are actually texting in questions. Now, texting in questions from an audience you might think is real simple in terms of Twitter. But Twitter is not a good solution if you want to moderate. And the systems we have allow people to moderate the tweets that are coming through for content and approve or disapprove them to go live to screen. So we can offer that type of service as well. And indeed, we're doing a lot of events where people win a prize. This is a game show where the prize was a car. And you know, it gets everyone engaged at a town hall event with over 2,000 people getting involved. Looking forward, really, 12, 13, it certainly is all about the device. People are arriving with their own devices. I had an epiphany at an Emirates Airlines conference we were running once where they were talking about more in touchscreens. And somebody stood up and said, look, enough about touchscreens, you know. We all have a touchscreen. We all own a touchscreen already. Engage us through our own devices, whatever it may be. There is no point necessarily in engaging people if you can't engage them across all devices. So it needs to run on Galaxy Tab. We have an event next year with 3,000 people. 500 of them will turn up with no devices, we estimate. So how are we going to give them a tablet that will allow them to connect? So that's really, as we see, it's got to be cross-platform. It cannot take 6 weeks to get an app through the iStore. It has to be tomorrow. I get a call in the Middle East for something that is happening tomorrow. The Middle East is all about the latest technology at the last minute and be able to deliver it and deliver a latest technology quickly. There's no point in me saying you've got to wait 6 weeks. It just won't happen. So in terms of getting the technology out there, we believe that a mix of web versus native apps is really the way forward. Certainly native apps are beautiful and to look at, and if you've got the timeline. But in the events world, things move and change very quickly, and we have to be able to move fast with them. So I just want to give you some takeaways, and I'm trying to aim for that 20 minutes that I was talking about earlier. Please keep your templates real simple. Keep your content incredibly simple in terms of how they look and how they feel. I'm not referring to going 4x4ing or in the desert here. If you do want to minimize the amount of text on your slides, get it down to 4x4, no more than 4 lines of 4 words. Ideally, 6x6 can also be a way, 6 lines of 6 words, but we see way too much of 12x24. So the idea is to get rid of the text off your slides. The human brain is not good at text. Think in images. Try and add more imagery. Number 3, ban the bullet. We like to say get rid of the bullet point. Bullet points do not help you. Try and think in terms of imagery, in terms of clear communication when you get it across, and work on your own presentation style, not relying on the screen to deliver it for you. Number 4, can't read it, can I? So please don't read what's on the slides. That's the number one mistake we see people making. This is not your script. This is to communicate to the audience. So work hard on learning it and knowing what's up there. And by all means, please try and interact more with your audience, be it Twitter, be it keypads, or be it something like SpotMe or the IML connector or ShowGizmo. Please try and connect with your audiences and work some sort of interaction. If you do that, audiences will connect with you and they will enjoy your event more, and you will create a dialogue and not a monologue. Thank you very much. Here's our contact details. Please hop on and have a look at our website, or you can get me on Twitter at satvizcom or via ECME. So thank you very much for your time. I'm now I think we're going to have a quick break, and then we're going to be coming back with Corbin Ball. So thank you very much, and look forward to chatting to you online.